Well, well, well. Folks, this week we've got something a little bit different. Though Serena has our review of the week, one thing that we have decided to do is to take some time to discuss lore. We're trying a little bit different this week. What we're going to do, just for no apparent reason, I don't know why I'm doing this in the middle of July as opposed to like in October, but I thought it would be really cool if we just sat down and talked lore. Lore from some of our favorite universes. Ones that you wouldn't expect to be as spooky as they are, and then others that you would expect for them to be super spooky, but we're going to talk about stuff that people kind of gloss over. So, let's go ahead and get right into it. Welcome again to another episode of On the Grind. So before we dive into our review of the week, just to let you guys know who is here with me this week, we have our social media manager, Serena.
Hello.
And our editor-in-chief, Mike.
Hello, hello.
All right, so our review of the week, we have a book that I'm interested to hear Serena's take on, because it is one of our competitors. Specifically the book Yaira by the Soska sisters over at Rippaverse. So, Serena, take it away.
Okay. Hello everyone. Name's Serena. I'll be reviewing Yaira. Let's start with the summary of what this book is about. Dr. Sally Rodell is the latest star scientist to consult at Projexus, the company at the forefront of Fluorspark's invention and innovation. A famed archaeologist and biologist, Sally is also Yaira, and except as powerful as she is mysterious, clearly not from around here, but so worldly it's impossible to determine her place of origin. Yaira is searching for something sacred to her, but finds much more than she bargained for when she discovers a young girl, Stefania Martinez, who has manifested her same powers. Who is she, and how are they connected? Yaira must act quickly as this out-of-control powerhouse mimicking her abilities and attracting all the wrong kinds of attention, bringing the very ones Yaira escaped from together to escape straight to her. As Micah said, this was written by the Soska sisters, Jen and Sylvia Soska. So, after having read this book, I should start. Disclaimer: this is my first Rippaverse book, so I have not checked out ISOM, Alpha Core, and any other book under the Rippaverse label. So this is my first book and my first impressions. After having read this book, I'm going to say I'm not the biggest fan of the writing, especially surrounding Yaira's character. I understand that Yaira is an anti-hero, but she has so few likable qualities, and she's written to be very stiff and kind of selfish. For example, in the beginning of the book, we don't really know why she's attacking Isom. Again, I haven't read the Isom book, so it's probably explained there, but I don't understand why she's attacking Isom and Alpha Core. During the scene that she's like fighting the Alpha Core in the stratosphere, it's then followed up with a news anchor explaining how Yaira's powers work instead of showing us how her abilities work. A problem that I've noticed with this book is that they do a lot of telling but not showing, and when they do show, it's done in a very stiff manner. Now, I should say that the art on this book is very good. Very dynamic poses.
Mm-hmm.
Yaira looks like a walking blonde Amazon. Which also begs the question of how no one noticed that this 6-something Amazon and Amazon scientist is not Yaira, or doesn't look strangely like this well-known antagonistic figure. That was kind of a plot hole that I struggled with. Another thing was that this introduces another character that's connected to Yaira in the form of Stefania Martinez. She's a teenage girl who has similar ice powers. You learn later on in the book that Stefania is Yaira's descendant. When Yaira came to Earth, like 1,000 years ago, she landed in the Viking Age Iceland and married this Viking dude. I forgot what the Viking dude's name was, but it applied that all her children were the Nordic god or served as the inspiration for the Nordic religion. Because they're all named Freya, Thor, Balder, basically the Aesir from Norse mythology.
Yard.
Yeah, a problem I had when they introduced Yaira's origin was the fact that Yaira, it didn't feel like it felt like she was very, how do I word this? It didn't feel like she held her family as close to her as I would like. She felt very far, like emotionally far from them. Because it is shown during the origin sequence that, and this comes much, much later in the book where Yaira has already been established to be this antagonistic figure. But it felt very far with how she was talking about her baby boy, her firstborn child. I held my son Jord on the 13th day of our first winter. I didn't know what to expect. His eyes did not glow like mine, but he was my son. That sentence, that entire narration doesn't give me the impression that she truly cherishes her son, because it seems like she's more concerned whether her child. Matter of fact, I'm going to read another excerpt. I made good on my problems after Jord came. Boulder did Ragnar, Sigurd, my twin daughters, After and Freya, my sweet Tyr, and my youngest. My sweet Tyr, my youngest. None of them had my powers, but they were my children. Gives me the impression she cares more about whether her children have developed her same abilities, rather than the fact that they are her kids, and she feels pride for providing her husband with children.
I mean, they're just there, I guess. Oh, well.
Yeah, and she's this is like after during a time where she's reminiscing about her past before the final fight with the villain group, the Exibs, which is they don't explain what her species is, but I'm assuming she's some form of alien. Because we get two people who looks very similar to her, and one like bug dude by the name of Magnus something. He's a giant bug man.
Mm-hmm.
But she's recounting how she spent time with her family, how she witnessed not just her husband, but her children and grandchildren die in front of her. But the way it's being written feels like she doesn't really have emotional attachment to them. Because she is describing having buried every child and grandchild, but you don't really, you see a picture of her crying, but you don't really get the fact that she's deeply like traumatized and hurt till this day.
It sounds like, and I've seen some of these pages, it just kind of seems like the dialogue needs to be tightened a bit.
Yeah, and you had brought something up during the climax of the final fight with the ice aliens, where she basically gets hit by a volcano and gets like it crash lands into the sea. The heat tears through my body and the pain is excruciating. I can't stay airborne. The icy water cools my boiling flesh, and I can see them for the last time. They are as beautiful as the first time. Gorm told me that Aurora Borealis was the breath of the brave who died honorably in battle. you had said something interesting about this, like this page in particular. Would you mind sharing, Micah?
Yeah, it was like the part about the aurora borealis I actually like. The thing that I really wish, and this also comes with the thing with the kids, is that they're, and maybe this might be a thing that, okay, so I have a theory. I want to just say this. Um, I have heard good things about the Suska sisters' work. I've heard that American Mary is really good. I've heard that Rabin, their remake of the Cronenberg film, is good too. Um, so I need to see them, obviously, but I've heard good things about their work. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm like bagging on them or something. But I feel like what this needed was an editor involved that was willing to tell them that there needed to be more of an emotional punch to the language that they used. And this is something that admittedly some people have a hard time communicating, and some people are honestly afraid to communicate it. I don't know. Maybe it's very much possible that maybe the editor got a little starstruck that he was working with people that had, directed fairly well-known films, right? Because I remember like 10 years ago when like American Mary was like the talk of the horror community.
I
So
never seen that movie.
I've heard it is very fucked up but very intriguing. But regardless, the the big thing about it is that there's not enough like emotional impact that tells us exactly what the character is feeling. Like one thing that I would have done, and this is just me, but it's just an example, is I would, when you get hit by a volcano and then you go into the into icy cold water, it's not really going to cool your flesh, it's going to cause it to blister. And to emphasize the pain that the character is going through that caused them to lose their equilibrium in flight, by describing that, I feel would have been much more impactful. The idea is like the intense heat from the volcano causes me to lose equilibrium. The skies are no longer mine to fly through, or something along those lines. And this is just me throwing off the top of my head, so this isn't really the best that I can offer. But then I would have done something like the icy water causes my scorched skin to immediately blister. I feel how would I do this? I feel pain, I feel relief, then I feel nothing. Something like that. To kind of emphasize like the process of like what you're going through whenever that sort of thing happens, because if you're a super being, to get knocked out of the air by something like a volcano, that's going to really hurt. And if you're going to do that sort of first person internal monologuing, you really want to make sure that you're emphasizing exactly how much pain the person is in with the strongest language that you can communicate it in. Because, and I know I'm going off on a bit of a rant here. I don't mean to take over your review, but it's one of those things where I very much believe that in the modern day we are losing a sense of the concept of strong language. It's like I know that you guys have both heard the phrase like hate is a very strong word.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are words that just have more intensity to them. Like let's say I went into the boxing ring and I defeated my opponent. I went into the boxing ring and I annihilated my opponent. Both are saying the same thing, but they paint very different pictures with your imagination. And I feel like that's really what is necessary in a moment like this, to really sell people on exactly how bad someone is hurt and so on and so forth. So that's just my thoughts on it.
Another issue I had with this book was the characterization of to continue off with the dialogue. A problem with the dialogue is that a lot of these fight scenes feel very wordy when they really don't need to be, because the main villains who try to like kidnap or kill Yaira, they're saying the same thing over and over again. We get it. You hate Yaira. We get it. You want to make her pay for whatever. Again, we never learned what she did on her homeworld to get exiled from it. We just know that she crash landed on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really explain what Yaira did that to make her like hated by her people or so, or to be outcasted. From what I can gather, she was kind of a rebel or something, or she rebelled against the current regime there. I don't know. They don't explain that. But the villains, Yanissa, who is this like older woman who's implied to be the monarch of this like alien society, she's basically saying the same thing several different times at several different points of the book, to the point where she's having whole conversations, and you could probably see it in the final fight in the over the volcano. A thing I do not like when people write fight scenes, and this is not just to this book. There's like other media that does it, especially shonen media. Please do not have your character monologuing or talking during a major fight scene.
Everyone.
Naruto is horrible with this. It is part of the reason I will never watch Naruto, and why I rarely ever watch shonen anime outside of Chainsaw Man, because the characters are talking at the most inappropriate moments, explaining on screen how they're feeling and what's happening. I do not mind a character having an inner monologue,
Mm-hmm.
trying to like figure out, like, for example, let's like Goku try to figure out the weakness of whatever enemy he's fighting. He's like thinking to himself, okay, that didn't work. How about trying this method? Shit, this didn't work either. Wait, how is he dodging my attack? He was just right in front of me 2 minutes ago. He's talking, like the character is talking to themselves. They're kind of like figuring out along with the audience what's going on. I don't mind that. But when you're having like back and forth conversations, that takes me out immediately, because especially in a high intense death to the battle to the death, no one's going to be talking. If you're trying to kill someone, it's going to be pure silence.
I feel like that is the vice of like a good deal of writers, is that they want their point being brought across, and the only way they can really do it is use the character as their avatar for
But
their
here's the
whatever
thing,
point
you're
they're
writing for a visual medium. Let
making.
the work speak for itself.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, that was one thing that when I did my review of Freren on my YouTube channel, I said, like, the one thing I really liked about it was the fact that it knew when to shut up. You know? And this is something that I admittedly had to learn, too, is that, you have to... There's nothing wrong with just letting a fight play out. You know? There's a part in, like, because I've been preparing, like, Inglewood stuff to go out for more distribution and things like that. And I remembered in the original draft of Inglewood Book 1, the opening fight scene in it, which is, like, all of the front of it, like most of, like, the first 12 pages, there was a lot more dialogue. And then I remember looking at the lettering, or before we were like about to get the lettering, and I just looked at the panels. I'm like, I went to the script, I highlighted all the dialogue, and I just hit delete. And I'm so glad that I did. And I really feel like, yeah, that's something that, and this isn't just a Yaira problem. This is an everybody problem. Is that there is zero things wrong with shutting up and just letting it play out. And sometimes that actually, like, helps the intensity of the situation. Because, like, another good example is I don't want to use the one that I used in the Farron video because it's a little heavy-handed, but um, yeah, I really feel like the shonen comparison was a good one. Like, we don't necessarily need to hear from the hero in that moment. I actually am somebody that I don't mind, however, in the old school style of how someone like Chris Claremont would do it, where he was more describing the stakes of what was going on or the emotional weight of what's going on in a certain person's head. But he did it in such a like Shakespearean manner with his language. Again, there's the language thing again. To where it really did a great job of like keying you into the mental state of the person that you were seeing. But yeah, we don't always need to hear from the people in the fight while they are in the fight. You know, you can not talk and let the fight play itself out, and let the audience just hang on that emotion. And I think it's a lot more impactful that way, personally.
Mm. And also, to continue on the dialogue point, there's a point where Yaira, in her like Dr. Rundle disguise, now she's in a laboratory with scientists, but one of the scientists, like she and another scientist, are like waxing philosophically, and you had mentioned how scientists hate philosophy.
That's also another vice, and like scientists, they love themselves some problems, and like when they overthink things, philosophy tends to be the root core of it. On the other hand, they really should have a good base in philosophy, but they wouldn't. I don't know any like any particularly well-known like scientists these days that have a good base in philosophy or even have a good relationship with it.
Yeah, in fact, that there's quite a few that are dismissive of it. Neil deGrasse Tyson is a really good example of that. He's very dismissive of philosophy. For the longest time, Richard Dawkins was also very dismissive of it as well. So it's just one of those things where there has always been, philosophy is effectively where you're going to get a lot of your ethics. And if there's one thing that the scientific community has struggled with for a very long time, it is ethics. So yeah, having what was basically going on was like, was there too much philosophical waffling?
Yeah, because they're talking about like what their research is, how their research is impacting humanity. And Yaira, I'm just gonna say Yaira. I'm not gonna go to the civilian.
Yeah,
Yaira is
shorthand.
saying things like life is a delicate thing, is created with a certain balance. Do not fear improving one aspect will destabilize the design. She think basically she's saying that, do you think that humanity may be like ruining themselves or like stepping into something that they shouldn't? Because the scientist she's talking to is talking about increasing human health, intelligence, longevity, and unlocking human potential. But she say, is that really a good idea for the human? Or are you messing with something that shouldn't be messed with? Are you like changing the human design to be something that's unnatural? Something like that. That's what the conversation is going. And you said that didn't feel like something that scientists would concern themselves with, because scientists are more about the factual here and now rather than thinking about all this philosophy and ethics where we're focusing on this one thing. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Well, I would think that like the more interesting way to go about it is to have one scientist that is very concerned with ethics and another one who just isn't. Because that's always the interesting thing about like being around people of science is there's this idea in philosophy called Chesterton's fence. And the basic idea is that there's two kinds of people that would walk up to a fence in the middle of the forest. One person of one personality type will disregard the reason that the fence is there and just jump over it. The other person will try to walk around it. The person who who jumps over it is what we would call like a more progressive mindset. They're always concerned with purely just moving forward. The second person ponders the concept of whether or not the fence is there for a reason and doesn't want to test it because, for all you know, what's behind the fence is a minefield. And that's me paraphrasing, but that's basically what that concept means. And in the scientific world, there's a lot of people like that don't really give a flying you-know-what for, or whether or not their research is going too far. So having someone that represents that sort of devil-may-care attitude, against someone who is much more ethical, I believe personally, makes for an interesting conflict and fleshes out the characters a lot more than what you had shown me.
Yeah, and another thing about the characters is that I'm going to focus on like the main two focus characters. I'm not really all that concerned with Alpha Core because I'm not familiar with the Alpha Core characters, and I haven't read the book, so I'm not even going to comment on. They seem like a standard like superhero government team. They're more focused on ensuring less property damage and less civilian casualties. That's my only impression of them. Now on to Yaira and Stefania. I'm going to be honest. I do not like these characters because Yaira just comes across as weirdly aggressive and just completely like doesn't seem to care about the amount of damage, property damage, and negative effects she's having on the people around her. Like when she meets Stefania, she's like, Stefania's a teenager. So she's applied to be, the way they talk about this character, it makes it seem like she's under the age of 18. Because they constantly refer to her as child.
Well,
so,
aren't they like 3,000 years each?
What?
Am I mistaking somebody that?
Well, Yaira is like very long lived, so I guess anybody would be a child to her.
It's not just Yaira. There's other characters. One of the main dudes, Solari, he refers to her the way that he talks to Stefania makes it seem like Stefania is like a teenager, like someone who is very, very young, or at least just emerging adulthood. So it's the same language that the characters are like referring to her as being like younger than she's depicted. The first time we meet Stefania, she's literally with her gang, plotting their next heist. They literally stick up a police truck trying to rob it. One of them, I think, kills one of the policemen. Another policeman tries to like retaliate against them, kills two of her buddies, and critically injures Stefania, which causes Stefania's powers to trigger, which gets Yaira's attention. Yaira starts beating on her to the point where, like, the first thing Yaira says after hitting this girl, "You took it like a champ." And Stefania responds with, "Were you trying to knock me out?" And Yaira responds with, "No, it was meant to be as a death blow." So she's literally trying to kill this girl for no reason. And before she can like do any further damage, the people from her planet show up to apprehend Yaira. And throughout the book, Yaira's just like she's a devil-may-care attitude towards the destruction and death around her. Like Stefania's grandmother ends up dying because of Yaira, and Yaira is like she feels sorry about it. But you don't really get the impression that Yaira is all that broken up about it implied that she and this old woman were like longtime friends.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really get the impression that Yaira is like all that broken up, that a longtime friend, someone she was close with, just died because of her. And
I
like most
feel
of
like that part of that has to deal with like this playing the devil's advocate here. I feel like that feels like the Freeran issue where you have someone that's like so fucking long lived that they just kind of see all these people around them as mayflies.
yeah, but with Fearing it was just that she had a hard time expressing her her emotions. She didn't like she wasn't thinking in the moment. It wasn't
Mhm.
until years later that she realized she should have like spent more time. She doesn't look down on people. That's the difference. Yaira looks down on people. Fearing does not.
Yeah,
Unless you're a
I mean
demon, that's a completely different issue.
it's
But with
like
Yaira,
a
she just
moral
comes
issue.
across as weirdly antagonistic towards not only like this young girl who Yaira doesn't really explain their relationship or why Yaira is invested in protecting this girl. You learn like later in the book that Stefania is Yaira's descendant, which is why Yaira is invested. But Yaira doesn't tell her that, and she just kind of like breaking into like prison complexes, like super prisons, in order to retrieve the girl. And Alpha Car just like completely annoyed with this woman because she's just going because from their perspective she's just going around Yara's just going around doing like mindless destruction and doing whatever she wants. The Yara's origin comes like in the second half of the book, and by the time you reach her origin you don't really care about her as a person because you don't there's nothing to latch onto.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with Stefania. Like you do feel bad for Stefania, but like with Yara, there's not really much to latch onto. And Stefania, at the end of the book, ends up joining the Alpha Corps as a new candidate, and she's just telling Solari that she wants to kill Yaira for like being responsible for the death of her grandmother. But the way that she's conveying that information to him makes it seem like again it makes it seem like she's not that serious about it. And there's the kind of like a discrepancy between the dialogue and the art, where the art is not conveying the proper emotion reflected in the dialogue. Because as she's explained to her plans of vengeance to Solari, she's doing a superhero pose
Feels a little strange.
while talking about potentially killing someone. And Solari basically says, they'll make me have to neutralize you and put you back in the prison. You need to control your emotions. Like it's like it's such a casual again, the way the art is depicting it makes it seem like a very casual conversation and not like an intense discussion about the future.
Mm-hmm.
And if this young girl who just discovered a couple of days ago that she had powers is able to control them well enough to not hurt potential people.
So you're having a fair amount of issues with the tone, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah, the tone
tone.
and characterization and dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
And I read this.
the more I hear
Yeah,
about this, the more I just think like a lot of this really could have been fixed in the editing process. And again, it's one of those things where I honestly feel like when it comes right down to it, and again, this is another thing about being an editor, is that you can't be starstruck or afraid to tell the people you're editing for that they got to tighten it up or they got to fix some things. You
Mm-hmm.
know, just you got to be willing to do that because like conceptually it seems like it could be a really fun book, but it just they've really just got to tighten the screws on it.
yeah, and like give like Yaira some like redeemable or like relatable qualities. Like give her a sense of humanity the way Fearin was given humanity in the series.
Mm-hmm.
You can do a long-lived character who comes across as detached, but you gotta know when to introduce like the human element. Like, why is this character so weirdly aggressive with people? What happened to cause her to be like this? Why did she attack Isom? Why is she aggressive towards Alpha Core? What did she do to get kicked off her home planet? Like, for like her first meeting with Stefania should have been her basically counseling Stefania instead of attacking her. Because we know what the people, the eggs of the alien race looks like. They look like they're silver haired. They look like Emma Frost a bit, but with silver hair. But this girl, who very clearly is confused, very clearly scared, and instead of attacking her, how about you try to calm her down? Showing that Yaira has like situational awareness and emotional intelligence in that scene. And then all of a sudden these people show up because they sense another being with similar powers to them on that planet, thinking it's Yaira.
Well, I mean, all the good things can be solved with editing, and well, hopefully they tighten it up and for the next book.
I'm gonna hold out hope that the second book is gonna be they fix the problems of the first book. Mm-hmm. I'll be keeping an eye on this book of the series. I don't know about the other series like Isom. I have heard mixed things about Isom, but it's fairly okay. So I'll consider checking that out, and hopefully they improve upon this book going forward.
Yep, fingers crossed. Because the fact of the matter is that as of right now, at least I'm of the opinion that the independent scene needs more production in regards to like output, because there's a lot of people out there that are still pissed off about the state of comic books and, you know, are looking for stuff to read on a regular basis. But, you know, the regular basis part is something that I feel the independent scene has struggled with. Obviously I'm included in that number. So people out there, like, I'm criticizing myself here. Hopefully we'll, you know, here at Grindstone we'll be able to get on that as well. I mean, granted, Cyberpop is almost finished, and then we'll be sending that to the printers the instant that I get the letters in, and I'll just stay up all night, put together the print file, and get that stuff going. But regardless, yeah, I hope they continue to improve as well. I really would like to, because there's some people over there at Rippaverse that I know, that I'm friendly with, Chuck Dixon and Kanan White, being the big names over there that I'm friendly with. So I want them to continue to improve as well. And yeah, but not gonna lie, on our end we are, we respect what they're trying to do over there, but there's some things that can be done to improve the books as well, and I'd like to see that, because in my opinion, the other thing about it is, like, I look at it as friendly competition. You know, I look at what they're doing and I say to myself, okay, I want to, you know, try to match this or try to surpass this. And then the hope is that the other person will see the same thing. They'll try to up their game, and then everyone gets better. And then the audience are the ones who really benefit. And then they start spending more money on the industry as a whole, and we all do better than what we were doing beforehand. So, anywho.
Yeah, that pretty much.
So let's go ahead and get into our topic for the week. So, I wanted to do something a little bit different. didn't want to talk about the uh, the negative stuff going on in the world. They needed a break from it. So, what we're going to do this week is we're going to talk about spooky stuff. Specifically, spooky stuff from franchises that we love. And we're going to start off with ones that have really creepy shit in them that people would not expect. And we'll discuss a few of them to kind of give an idea to people that, like, not everything is quite what it seems. And we're going to make Serena go first.
Okay.
Do you remember? Okay, so
Sailor Moon.
You loved yourself some Sailor Moon back in the day, right?
Yes, I'm still a Sailor Moon fan. I really need to get around to watching the final movie of the Crystal universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you watched the one from the 90s, right?
I watched both the reboot and the 90s anime.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like cute girls doing cute things, and then fighting evil by moonlight and winning love by daylight. When do they fucking sleep? I don't know. We don't know. That's just the whole premise. Is you got your Sailor Senshi coming out down here, but yeah, there's some really fucked up shit. Like, can you tell me how Jadeite dies?
Okay, Jedi literally gets like stabbed and poisoned to death. Now in the episode in which he dies, he's kind of in this. There's a romantic plot between him and Molly/Naru. Now Naru's the same age as Yusaki. She's 14 years old. Mm-hmm. Naru falls in love with Jedi. Now Jedi does care for her, but I wouldn't call it romantic. He is a case of this evil dude learns to embrace humanity because of this girl showing him kindness and looking out for him. So Naru basically they try to, like, the denizens of the Negaverse.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there's a
what an awkward thing to say. What an awkward thing to say.
Sailor Moon that's basically saying that this is kind of like a Boondocks parody.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it's the original Deep Dub, they're saying it sounds like something else. It sounds like they're saying the N-word, the Negaverse. A nega moment is when a man becomes possessed by the dark forces of Queen Beryl. I have recruited you for the Negaverse. Wait, what?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate way to say it. I'll be quite honest.
I could just imagine you hear that womp 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 music in the background. And you hear, oh no, we're gonna have a discussion here if White Jesus has to say anything about it.
If Queen Metalli has to say anything.
Just the Queen turns into Uncle Ruckus just out of nowhere.
Nah, you can't trust that nigga.
Like, I'm of the opinion that so many things would be improved just by Uncle Ruckus showing up out of nowhere.
Oh, sweet Jesus, no.
It'd be amazing.
Uncle Ruckus was in Sailor Moon. That entire series would have ended so differently.
That'd be great. But anyway, continue onward about, like, because I've heard some creepy shit about Sailor Moon.
Okay, also the Jedi thing. The Denison is basically Queen Beryl sends the Denisons to kill Jedi after he fails to get one of the rainbow. I think it was the rainbow crystals. No, it was either the rainbow crystals or the silver millennium. Yeah, it was the rainbow crystal because he came after. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Sorry, I had to remember because like.
It's been an age, but.
Yeah, they literally just premiered the episodes of season 1. I'm trying to remember. Because they introduced the another plot line involving the rainbow crystals and the crystal, the silver millennium crystal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she basically has them get killed, and Naru gets embroiled. While trying to protect Naru, he gets stabbed and killed, and Naru is literally holding him as he is dying, confessing her love to him. he doesn't really confess his love back. He just tells her, "Thank you for showing me kindness." Basically, fully embracing humanity before he dies.
Mm.
So a lot of people like to say, "Oh, this is like groomer bait." I'm like, not really, because he does manipulate her, but over time, the more he spends time with her, the more he kind of starts to become less evil and much more caring towards her.
And then as a
But it's
result,
by no means romantic, because he's a grown man and she's like 14.
Mm-hmm. And as a result of his attraction, he more or less ends up being the reason why he fails, right? And then just the worst way possible.
Yeah.
Do you remember what Morgan
is kidnapped by the denizens of the Niggaverse.
Yeah, the Negaverse. All these Yoma from the Negaverse, they need to be shown. God damn it. God damn it.
Oh,
but yeah.
that's the girl being choked out is Naru.
You remember?
Guilty!
Okay, so
that Yoma is guilty! Hang them now! I got the rope right here!
You see, okay, so this thing, Morga, what does she do? Do you remember?
Morga's like the first villain in the first episode. She basically disguises herself as Naru's mom, and when Naru stumbles upon the fact that Morga is that's not her real mother, Morga decides, I'm gonna kill this little bitch. Mm-hmm. And Salem and like Molly / Naru screams for help. Sailor Moon, Usagi, having just transformed into Sailor Moon for the first time, hears her friend in danger and runs off to save her.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it doesn't really end unexpectedly, because Usagi's a crybaby and a coward. So she's never really fought a monster before. So she ends up annoying the bad guy by crying.
Giving up.
No, they didn't give up. She just annoys the bad guy, and Tuxedo Mask basically has to come in and tell her, "Stop crying and fucking kill it." So Luna basically shows her how to use her tiara as an attack, and she kills Morga.
Not really. That looks like I didn't think I got to see this episode, because that's a freaky fucking monster.
This is the first episode, by the way. This is the first chapter of the manga and the first episode of the anime.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember later on, wasn't there like a creepy doll as well that was one of the villains?
That again, you have to specify what you mean by creepy doll, because
there's so many.
Like dolls.
Murido is the
a lot
name.
of doll-like villains. A doll-like
Molly D?
Noma. So you gotta specify which one.
Molly D, I think.
Molly D
or Merido.
Murido. I'll put an image in our. I'll put our image in our Discord server. But this creepy fucking thing.
Oh yes, that's the happy that's part of season 1. That's like the amusement park episode. Yeah, she's another Yoma disguising itself as like this princess mascot at like basically their version of Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
And basically tries to suck the energy out of the park goers for her Queen Beryl. And Usagi and the other Sailor Scouts have to like go in and do their thing, go in and stop her.
And it's an off-putting fucking like doll-looking thing. Good lord. And then shoot.
Not even the worst one.
What's the worst one?
It's in season 3. Oh, fuck, I have to rewatch season 3. I'm sorry. There are so many episodes of Sailor Moon that it's hard for me to remember, but Sailor Moon is no stranger to like evil, fucked up villains. Season 3 basically centers around the end of the universe being caused by a young girl who is possessed by an eldritch entity. So during that episode, during the entire storyline of season 3, Sailor Moon has to weigh the option of should killing an innocent girl should you sacrifice the life of an innocent girl to save the universe? And
Oh,
Usagi
what
says no, her life has worth. While the other two Sailor Scouts, specifically the first two Outer Senshi, Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune, who are a lesbian couple, basically says for the sake of they're the pragmatic bunch. She has to die before this thing that's inside her wakes up and she destroys the universe.
Mm.
So yeah, season 3, the Infinity arc is probably the darkest arc of Sailor Moon because it literally is dealing with the apocalypse.
Yeah,
And
it gets pretty dark from a memory, from what I kind of vaguely remember, because it's because I remember you watching it just a little bit, and like even the what episode that caught, I was like, all right, this is cool. Oh, why the fuck are they fighting this guy? Oh, what the fuck is that thing? Oh, absolute fucking like cinema. I'm not gonna lie.
and during the whole scuffle with the Witches 5, Chibiusa, Sailor Moon's daughter, gets her soul taken from her. In the 90s anime, is like a pure heart crystal, the essence of one's purity and their purity and ambition. In the actual crystal slash manga is her soul. So her daughter loses her soul by her best friend who is possessed by an eldritch entity. And this eldritch entity awakens as Mistress Nine. So now not only does Usagi have to save her daughter, she also has to save the entire universe from this being called Pharaoh 90 from waking up. Pharaoh 90 is basically their version of, could be best not Cthulhu, but Azazel. In case you don't know what Azazel is like the god of gods in the Cthulhu mythos. It's essentially Lovecraft's version of the
Like
creator deity.
it's the center of the universe. Like
Yeah,
this big
everything
fucking
is reality is essentially its dream, and if it
and
ever wakes up, that's it. Everything
everything's
ends.
gone. That's it. It's
So if Pharaoh 90 like fully emerges, it's going to consume the entire planet.
yeah, Sailor Moon gets really fucking dark for such a light treatment. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Sailor Moon has to weigh. Basically, she it becomes the moral conflict comes when she has to consider killing Hotaru, who is now Mistress Nine. But the problem is Hotaru is also Sailor Saturn, the guardian of silence. She is the Sailor Scout that ends everything. She is death. She is the guardian of death personified. Because she was the one who ended the Silver Millennium after the destruction by Queen Beryl.
And that's a hell of a fucking weight to have on you.
Yeah, and every time she uses her powers, every time Sailor Scout uses her powers, she dies and is sometimes reborn. So she's kind of like a phoenix-like being. Her power always ends up killing her.
Oh. Hell of a consequence, though.
Yeah. Well,
and that's just from fucking like Fallout. I mean, that's just from fucking Sailor Moon. Like, oh
yeah. Mike's pick for one thing that you wouldn't expect to be as creepy as it is Fallout, specifically Fallout 2, which for those of you out there, now those of us who know, we know, but for those of you who are young and might only know Fallout from 4 or the television series, oh boy, Mike, take it away. This one is goddamn.
So yeah, you have okay, so in Fallout 2, you are following the chosen one. He's a tribal that picks off from the exiled uh the exiled chosen from the first game, right? And then you go off on your adventures after going through a suspiciously Aztec temple, which kind of looks like someone repurposed a what was it? Like an amusement park
Yeah.
and made it into like a spooky scary fucking like, testing chamber for potential chosen ones. You go off, you go looking around and then you find like people all over the fucking place and life goes on in spite of in spite of the world ending. So then you have all these weird things, spooky things. And then after going through your adventures and finding like friends and all that, you come across like signs of across the waste that there's something wrong. Not only are people like being like kidnapped and whatnot, but there are people that are being addicted to drugs, specifically a drug called Jet. And so you start looking around, and eventually, if you're unlucky, you will find the source of that Jet, and he is a guy named Myron. Now, Fallout and Fallout 2 had a unique mechanic where if you were, let's say, differently abled, you had an int of like 1, you would have unique, you would have a unique, you'd have a unique playthrough because you wouldn't be the smartest, and everyone would treat you as not the smartest. But Myron, he's a little cunt. The most absurdest little shit. But he's super smart. He's pasty. He is covered in grease. He's just the grossest little shit you can talk. And he is so smug about the fact that he makes Jet. Now, there's an issue, though, in that you can have a character that has a lowered intelligence and then a very high charisma. What Myron does, upon seeing that you are very, very low in intelligence, but very attractive, is that he tries to like bring you in, give you a spiked drink, and then he will rape your character. He is like this.
What
like,
the fuck?
Yeah, Myron is a motherfucker.
Yep.
He's a dirty little creep, and unfortunately, you can actually have him as one of your party members.
Fuck that.
Mind you, can also have a robot dog as a party member, one of 4 flavored brains in a robot, which is kind of neat. A fucking super mutant, and a whole bunch of other dudes, including like an old man with a heart problem.
A fucking Deathclaw. That's.
I love the Deathclaw. He's so great. He's an intelligent little Deathclaw, and then in order to walk around with you, he puts on a robe and he pretends that he's just a mutant.
Yep.
But he's
Goris.
I love Goris.
Great.
He's so good. And then, but this is not pointing out the fact that there's so many fucking weird things in the background. Not including like all the random like weird encounters, but things like the Wanamingo. Those were fucking weird. And it turns out that the Wanamingo in there were created by the Enclave, the enemy at the end of the game of Fallout 2. And they essentially look like xenomorph heads with legs and tentacles. And they were designed specifically if the redesigned FEV, the forced evolution virus from the first game, didn't end up killing the rest of the populace in the American wasteland. Well, these things were going to go in there and start eating them because they were genetically designed. for that exact purpose, is to go in and just fucking eat colonies and like little cities by themselves. And they're a little off-putting. They're just fucking mouths with legs. And then you have the fact that there's the boss character that you can't beat, like talk down, because in the first game, the end boss there was called the Master, and you could talk him down and convince him that he's wrong. Mind you, the Master was like a lump of fucking flesh attached to a computer that was convinced that in order to improve humanity, that he had to turn everybody into super mutants.
Yep, he literally looks like something out of Lovecraft. It's wild.
And it's
Voiced by
fucked
Jim
up.
Cummings as well.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that has to be like that monologue with the Master is probably one of the best pieces of writing I've seen.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that you can go through in there and you can talk him down and convince him to blow himself up, you can't do that to Frank Horrigan.
Oh,
Frank
no.
Horrigan is a giant motherfucker.
Now, real
He is
quick,
like-
before you go into details about Horrigan himself, tell Serena about the event where you meet him out in the wasteland. What you see him do.
Okay, so you'll see you'll get a little bit of text saying you see a enclave like helicopter land, and then the first time you see him, he's out there with two powered armor goons with his miniguns, and he just aims his gun at them and he just fucking wastes them. An entire family, just including kids,
Holy shit.
just wastes them with a fucking minigun. And
Why do that?
Because he's fucking evil.
that's just how he is. He doesn't see anybody outside of the Enclave as human. In spite of being like a giant mutated super mutant that is kind of an Eagle Land psychopath, and he's brutal. But to balance it out, the fact that you can't talk him down at the end of the battle, because he's so purity oriented. This is a spoiler for like a 30-year-old fucking game. You can to lighten things up a bit. There's a way to kill him instantly, and it involves becoming mildly mutated, getting your toe cut off, and then using the toe on him, and he will explode like instantly.
How did he explode from a toe?
Because he's so purity oriented that to be even touched by something so disgusting as a mutated toe is enough to just annihilate him, and it's so good. Oh god. And then shit. Then there's the things that you can do to, like, in Fallout 2. This was before all these studios seemed to like universally declare, okay, kids are off limits, don't kill kids. There were so many fucking like massacres, things you could do to like the children in Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, because sometimes they deserved it. Like Myron, for instance. Others, they're just, little thieving kids.
Die like that.
Well, because they stole your caps from you, and you kind of want to show them up. Hell, there was
That's just a kid being a kid.
right? The things that there's one particular kid that if you don't try and protect him in the second game from they will string him up and hang him.
Damn.
Yeah, he's it's pretty brutal. And the things you can do with your the people that you find, and it's just it's so open ended, and there's so many little fucking weird little things. Oh god. And then shoot. Oh yeah, Broken Hills. in Broken Hills, it was a town where mutants and humans were trying to do their best to, live beside each other. And then somebody went to go. I think the chief of the mutant side hired you to go look for the missing people that missing people that were out of nowhere. And it turns out that that they were murdered by human supremacists to try and start a race war. It's so there's so many little off-putting things in the games, like in the first one, the second one. I don't know where you can still play it though. I think
you can get Fallout 2 and on GOG and on Steam. I have the Steam version. It does run pretty well. Because it's like a remaster, if I remember right. And yeah, the funny thing about Fallout 2 is like everyone considers that the one that was like the silly Fallout, and there's a lot of silly stuff you could do. It's also arguably the most disturbing.
Like the Enclave's plan was to like change the forced evolutionary virus to one that just instantly kills the person that was infected with. And they were going to do that and like kill the rest of the wasteland using this virus that would spread from person to person. And it would cause like internal hemorrhaging and start causing them to choke to death. And like the most friendliest motherfucker you'll ever see is the president. He doesn't see you as human, but he'll be courteous and friendly with you. And it's just the off-putting, like the way the Enclave thinks in the game, and it's just mind-bogglingly like villainous.
Oh yeah,
it's great.
All right, my turn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of stoked about this one because you really would think that Mobile Suit Gundam, of all things, would have some creepy stuff in it, but it actually does. The most obvious one, the one that I have to get out of the way, is from Victory Gundam. Now, Victory Gundam is, tonally speaking, the darkest Gundam ever. Now, allow me to clarify something for those listening. It's not the goriest. The goriest is Iron-Blooded Orphans. Some people die in that show in very violent ways. But Victory is like tonally dark because there's not much hope for anything ever in Victory Gundam. And there's just a couple things that happen. Like, this isn't even nearly like the worst part. Is fucking the lead character, one of his loved ones, gets decapitated by the tire of a mech while they're in a hostage situation.
Ugh.
And by the way, the lead character of Victory Gundam is 13, if I remember right. I think he's 13. He's really young.
Sounds about right.
I'm going to actually double check real quick because I've got the page up. But yeah, he was at the time the youngest Gundam protagonist ever. And I want to say, he was 13 at the time. He just turned 13. So imagine being 13 years old and you watch one of your loved ones get hit by the tire of a giant robot and it literally tears their skull off. Just clean. What makes it worse is he's so fucked up by the situation because he's been getting fucked up by this war because it's brutal. It's easily the most brutal Gundam war probably in all of Gundam. And he is just psychologically fuck busted at this point. he is like there's the whole thing in Victory is like that he's like barely capable to even process what situation he's even in. So this happens, he picks up the helmet with his loved one's head in it and shows it to people. And everyone is just absolutely horrified. He holds on to it for 2 more episodes in the cockpit of the Gundam. It's just, he's so broken. And it's not even the worst thing that happens to him. He almost gets raped.
What the fuck?
By an old woman, by an old pedo lady.
Ugh.
Victory Gundam is fucked up. And then the creepiest part about it is like the big doomsday weapon. It's a really unique one. It's one that I really like. It's called the Angel Halo. But it's terrifying.
This thing. Okay, I remember hearing about this thing. Go.
So, it is, in a lot of ways, the perfect doomsday weapon. Because you would use it and no one would be anyone the wiser. Effectively, what they did was they grabbed a bunch of new types. A bunch of them. Which they call Psychicers at this point in the timeline. And they grabbed them. And basically, the new type in charge, which is the Queen of Zanskar, who, by the way, not really an evil character, just isn't really completely conscious about how she's being used. Because what she thinks she's doing and what's actually happening is 2 different things. Effectively, what they did is they created a machine that would effectively take everybody on Earth and make them peaceful. How do they do this? By putting you in a constant trance, to where they effectively mentally regress you to being that of a toddler, trapped in your own body forever.
Mm.
The whole fucking planet.
Blech.
And by the way, that's the end result. Before that, it effectively mind rapes you.
You start going insane.
Pretty much. It makes you constantly relive your worst, most traumatic moments over and over and over again until you're left a babbling imbecile.
And then, then the protagonists, they have to go and deal with this. But the commander that's guarding the weapon, she starts going a little crazy. Because she's obviously being exposed to this fucking thing. But as a result of being like super exposed to it, doesn't she go just a little bit nuts?
Yeah, and she's been going like progressively crazier throughout the show, to the point where she sends a squad of young women to go after the Gundam, and has them all dressed in bikinis.
Yeah, because her justification in her head, she was like, okay, so it's a 13-year-old boy. We're gonna take advantage of that by appealing to his 13-year-old being a horny kid, not expecting him to be a 13-year-old war criminal at this point. And so they end up sending all these bikini women at basically more or less naked at this Gundam just to get smushed. For no tactical benefit.
Yeah, she just does it. And one of them gets a terrible death, just disintegrated by a beam saber. Just whoosh, and you just watch it happen. It's like, good fucking God. Like, it's pretty wild. And in my opinion, that's not technically the worst one. The worst one is some of the stuff that happens to new types in the earlier parts of the Universal Century. Specifically, the, what is it, the system called? It's the one from Blue Destiny.
Is that the one where...
The exam system.
Yeah.
So effectively what the exam system is, and the purpose of it, is to give a non-new type pilot new type reflexes and abilities. You know, not so much the mind reading, but make you faster, more aware. You just like make all your senses dialed to 15 instead of 10. And the way that they do this is they effectively turned a new type into a cloud computer trapped in her own body. And you're just feeding energy off of her soul and borrowing her abilities while she's in a coma, just trapped there, having to watch you just fucking murder people.
Sounds like some 40K shit.
Yeah, it's fucked up. And the worst part about it, the young lady who's like stuck in the exam system gets freed. But they found another way to make a similar system, but without the need to use another new type to do it. Instead, they just drug the shit out of you and basically feed you into an AI. I forget what the name of that system was, but it's also vile because effectively they took a 16-year-old, stuck her in a Gundam. God, what is the name of that mobile suit? It's not the Slave Wraith. Because the Slave Wraith is the one that are hero pilots. I'm digging it up right now. The Pale Rider is what it's called. Appropriate name. But the system in it, instead of the exam system, is called the Hades system. So yeah, instead of cloud computing with a fucking new type that is stuck in her own body, instead the person in it is drugged to hell and effectively plugged into an AI that is inside the mobile suit that causes them to go berserk and just kill the shit out of anything that they're programmed to kill. It's terrifying. And then there's just the concept of the cyber new type, where, and I just went over this in one of the videos I did on Zeta Gundam, is there's a concept, like the new type in Gundam is basically people that have evolved along a path to where they're psychic and empathic. They can sense other people's feelings, they can read some thoughts that people have, things along those lines. And, you know, they are able to, like, some new types are really good at piloting because of their senses. And what they have effectively tried to do is weaponize the concept of the new type by using surgical implants and things like that to basically create a cybernetic version of them. And some of them, of course, have been physically altered too, like better lung capacity, physically stronger, so on and so forth. But they are plagued with constant headaches anytime that they're around another new type and feel kind of like a psychic pressure coming off of them. They tend to go insane from it as well. And the shit that gets done to them, like, they fucking, the Titans in Zeta Gundam torture a chick just to see whether or not she can remote control a mobile suit. Like, she's in agonizing fucking pain, like she's being electrocuted just to test a remote control.
Ugh.
Like, Jesus. It's Gundam, folks, for those, like, there's a reason that I bitch whenever I feel like a Gundam show doesn't go hard enough. Gundam is at its best when it's a seinen. You know? Like, it's really is at its best when it's a mature story. And it's not afraid to really, you know, show you how fucked war can be. And how low human beings can just go whenever it comes to war. So, man alive. Like, Gundam can be very, very, very creepy at its worst, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
I
yeah,
didn't
now
even
that
get
we've
into the
gone
DG
to
cells from G Gundam.
oh god, the
But
DG
yeah,
cells. I
the but we're gonna move on to the next franchise. So for this particular one, I want to start with Mike because we were just talking about war, and Mike has a universe where there is only war.
yeah, there's only war and there's so many fucked up things about it. Like, okay, I will go with the easy pickings for Warhammer 40k. Just because everyone is like, what's the most fucked up thing for Warhammer 40k? And they will talk about the Daemon Unculabla. What's the Daemon Unculabla? Well, okay. So, in order to make more Space Marines, you take a progenoid from a fully grown Space Marine, and you extract a whole bunch of stuff from it, and you implant the resulting organs into the chest of a teenage boy about 12 to 16 years old. And after about 18 to 19 different implants, you will get yourself a Space Marine. Pretty neat, right? Now, because the Chaos Space Marines are so corrupted, they can't use those progenoids because as soon as they try and grow them up, they get corrupted. They turn into fucking like lumps of cancerous tissue that does just absolutely does not function as a Space Marine implant. So what was the plan? Well, there was this particular freaking this particular goodness this chapter master who created the what was his name? Let me see. I think it was
He's one of the Iron Warriors.
yeah, he was an Iron Warrior who decided he was going to say fuck chaos, fuck the Imperium. We're going to fix this whole problem. Yeah, I'm just opening
Hansu.
the page here.
That's it.
Yes, his name was Hansu. Warsmith Hansu. So what he decided he was going to do, he's going to create a machine made out of women to essentially birth new Space Marines. And what they would do is he would take these women, feed them full of fucking drugs, and so that way that their wombs would get super big, and then he would take his aspirants and then throw them into the wombs of these women and then sew them up and then leave them in there for a little bit, and then when they came back out, they would be birthed into Chaos Space Marines, which would then have no skin whatsoever. So then they had to, in order to make sure that these new Chaos Space Marines had skin, they would skin alive slaves and then give them that skin. And this process was not always successful, and it in fact led to the Daemon Unculabla's downfall when a actual Space Marine went and dealt with this. Name of Uriel Ventress from the Ultramarines, and then they rebelled against the Iron Warriors, destroyed the fucking Daemon Unculabla, and so yeah, these poor women, they were just basically organic birthing machines for these Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah, I think one thing that needs to be mentioned here with Uriel Ventress, Captain of the Fourth Company. We were actually talking about that before the show. Uriel Ventress has a couple of interesting things about him. First thing is that in kind of like the dark ages of the Ultramarines, when Cato Sicarius was the one that was being shoved on everyone, this was before like the first Space Marine game. Uriel Ventress was a character that really showed that the Ultramarines can actually be awesome. They have that capability, because Uriel Ventress is everything that Cato is not. He's not a prick. He's actually a really good soldier. He's not super arrogant or anything like that. He's very much kind of like a by the bones Marine. He even has like the stereotypical like Marine Corps haircut, you know. But the Daemonculaba was so fucked up because he got stuck in it at one point, and the whole process made an Ultramarine captain cry.
It's
Folks, you have to keep in mind the shit that Space Marines fight.
they see some awful shit,
Yeah.
and they, for the most part, they manage to not feel fear, or at least if they feel fear, they can suppress it and act upon it later and think upon it during prayer times. But in most cases, they are, um, how do I put it? Like mentally trained to deal with their emotions,
Yeah.
and it they just don't. It's not that they don't feel them; it's that they can compartmentalize them really, really well. Being in that fucking machine was enough to overwhelm that training.
Yeah.
That's the low hanging fruit for like the most fucked thing in 40K. So like, but then still fucked, but different in a different way. Um. So there was these aliens called the Enslavers,
Oh god.
and they're kind of they kind of look like big jellyfish with insect faces. And way back when, during something called the War in Heaven, the Necron and the Eldar were fighting, and they fought so hard that they accidentally opened a way to the warp, and these fucking things came out, and they started attaching themselves to psychers, and then proceeded to start enslaving things around them. And as a result, they were the reason why the war in heaven stopped. It wasn't the fact that the Necrons fought and killed everybody. No, these things came out of the warp, started attacking and attaching themselves to all these psychically attached souls, and then ate them, and then caused like the war in heaven to stop. That it was such a brutalist, like such a brutal fucking race, and it's absurd, just how simple they are. Their modus operandi is just find themselves a psyker, attach themselves to that psyker soul, open the way, and then they just go out and they start multiplying.
Yeah.
And they are real space capable. Unlike most demons. They're not a demon, they're some kind of weird thing, and nobody knows where exactly they came from. But every time that they come out, entire worlds have to die. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and keep in mind, folks, if you could like are like it takes a lot to get the Necrons off of their objective.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's how fucking frightening the enslavers are.
Hey, Irina, you want to see something?
Hmm.
Look at that fucking thing.
Oh yeah, I've seen this before.
Yeah,
Those
the
are
Hrud.
Those things are, they were supposed to be the Skaven for Warhammer. And they're kind of these weird, like, their bodies have, like, weird jellyfish, like, skeletons. And all of them, they have this weird, like, temporal, like, affecting field around them. That, that they're kind of like vermin that tend to take slaves. And the fuck thing about the Hrud is that once they take you as a slave, they make you addicted to their filth. And then you start aging. And then you start slowly turning into them. Which is bleh. And then, shit. Who else?
I mean,
Then
there's
there's
a
the
reason
Slaw.
that Barabbas Dantioch could never take his mask off.
Mm-hmm. They are off-putting, and they They have some weird weapons. Like most of them are a little bit of like radiation based, where they have like, since they were supposed to be the Skaven likes in Warhammer, they have like weapons called like the Fusel, which was like a phasic plasma technology where they shoot the gun, but then the projectile ends up skipping the gun, your armor, but then ends up in you. Because it goes in and out of the warp, in and out of the warp. So it just, when they shoot, it just goes, and then ends up in being in your body, and you just fucking explode from where it hits you.
And believe it or not, the Iron Warriors actually won a war against them. Which is crazy to think of.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, folks, if you don't know a whole lot about 40k, just look up Barabbas Dantiok.
Mm-hmm.
One, he is legitimately a hero of the Imperium. He's one of my favorite characters in the setting. And he's like the Iron Warrior, even more so than Proto-Rabo, his Primarch. Like, Dantiok is the fucking man.
Dantiok. Yeah.
Like, he's so fucking heroic that, like, when the Imperium, like, the scouring happened and they started, splitting all the legions into chapters, one of those chapters that was created was called the Sides of the Emperor. And they were created in Dantiok's memory to the point where the chapter master of the Sides of the Emperor always wears a helmet that is a replica of Barabbas Dantiok's. So they still honor him to this day. Because the Sides of the Emperor have a color scheme that's kind of similar to the Iron Warriors.
Hey, Rena, what does that look like to you? So there's a species called the sloth.
Oh yeah, I've seen this before. They really turn living beings into themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like some Saya no Uta type shit.
Mm-hmm. And they love themselves some living flesh, and they're maggots that assemble themselves into the shapes of sentient beings that view them, and they are very vain, and they will summon cults to worship themselves, but then they will eat you to turn you into more of themselves. And they prefer brains, and they know they cause suffering. They know it hurts what they do, and they love it. And then these fuckers, they created a species called the Rangdan, and they were that subspecies was so awful that the Emperor himself declared to them that they had to be wiped out. And it took the Space Wolves and the Dark Wolves, the Space Wolves and the Dark Angels to essentially take the longest bloodiest engagement until the Heresy. And the only way they won was when the Emperor finally just said, "You know what, fuck it," and he flung the Void Dragon at them. That's how bad it took, how much these fuckers were, and they were a result of the sloth. Ugh. All these fucking, the ones that don't like get like models, those are really fucked up ones. And then you have like the things like the species like that from the tabletop game from it was Fantasy Flight Games at the time, but I think it's like One Games now. And they're called the Rakghoul, and they kind of look like xenomorphs with guns, and they kind of treat them like like orcs that really, really love radiation. And these ships, they love them. They go on board, they board ships, and then they start ripping and tearing, and they're all a bunch of tool users, and it seems like, I don't know how to put this, like it gets kind of silly, to be fair, but the subspecies that they like, the ones that don't get models, it's yeah, it's just, oh, my brain is getting a little fried.
Yeah. And folks, we haven't even gotten to some of the other good ones, like Fabius Bile.
Oh God, Fabius Bile.
He's got a lot to him. Typhus is a walking fucking bug hive. Who's another really good one?
Fucking Lucius the Eternal.
Erebus.
Erebus.
Fuck Erebus, first and foremost.
Fuck him. Fuck him.
But the origins of Erebus are fucking dark.
Mm-hmm.
Just dark as hell. And like there's some, I'll say this right now, when it comes to the word bearers, there's some tragedy to them in regards to their fall, because Lorcar was not a bad guy. He just had a bad parent, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, had he had a different dad, he'd have been like as nice as Vulcan. Like he would be like Vulcan a lot like Vulcan. But
Out of all Trader Primax, I kind of feel bad for him the most.
yeah,
Him and Mortarion.
Yeah, Mortarion. I feel bad for Mortarion. He was just
Really forced into an impossible situation.
yeah,
such a terrible situation.
the that's the sad thing about a lot of the Trader Primarchs, because like Mortarion and Perturabo are the ones that you look at him and you're like, dude, if one little thing had just gone better, like with Perturabo, if they had just let him build the farming equipment he wanted to build, he just wanted, he like, bro, literally just wanted to build tractors. That's it. He just wanted to be Space John Deere. That's it, and they wouldn't let him do it. Fucking and
Angron
like,
has a bit of tragedy to him as well, because Angron wasn't like this like berserker. He was actually he had empathic abilities. He relieved the pain of the gladiators he was imprisoned with.
yeah,
It's only after the butcher's nails does he become what he is now.
he never really quite got a chance. But the other thing that I think part of the reason that the Emperor kind of fucked him over is the Emperor thought he was incompetent. And to be honest, as a military leader, Angron is very fucking incompetent compared to his brothers. Like, dude sucks. Sorry, folks, Angron sucks. Like,
He's terrible, I'll be honest.
he's a good fighter, it's just, but he's not even like the best fighter of his brothers. Because, like, the lion fucking just fed him the Emperor's shield not too long ago. And this is Demon Angron we're talking about. Like, it's one of those things that, oh god, if Vulcan got his hands on Angron, say goodnight. Hopefully you like hammers. But yeah, like, there's so much with 40k. But we want to move on. Serena has one that I'm of the opinion is a shooter franchise everyone needs to at least play the first game in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Tell us about First Encounter Assault Recon, Serena.
Also known as the Fear franchise. The Fear franchise, I've never played it, but I've seen other people play it. And it's one of the most interesting because it's a first-person horror shooter. That I think it like revolutionized the concept of using the whole what do you call that mechanic? The mechanic where you move faster than the speed of light.
Bullet time.
Like
It was
bullet time. Yeah, it popularized
one of the first
the bullet
FPSs to
time.
use it.
Yes. And one of the things about the Fear franchise I always found interesting is the lore surrounding Alma Wade. Now, I got into the Fear franchise by a YouTuber by the name of Psychedelic Snake. Unfortunately he's no longer on YouTube, but back when I was like a teenager, I used to watch him all the time. And I learned about the Fear series from the third game. Now, I didn't know anything about the series, but I remember watching a retrospective of it, and the lore surrounding Alma is just completely fucked.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, Alma was a girl with psychic abilities, and her father wanted to harness those abilities for military application. One of the things he did to his daughter was around the time this is happening, Alma is forced into a coma. He put his daughter into a coma so she wouldn't use her abilities against him, because he was doing some insane and abusive experiments on this young girl. Alma is in a coma. Now, it's never specified how he did it. I want to believe that it's using an insemination tool, but he impregnated his daughter with her first son at the age of, like, Alma is like 13, 14 when this happened. So he impregnated his teenage daughter. She gives birth to baby Point Man, who is the main character of the Fear. Or at least he's the main character of the Fear franchise.
Yeah.
Or at least
the first and third
focus.
games.
Yes. And then a couple of years later, when Alma, I think, is 16, 17, she gives birth to Paxton Fettle. And when you look at pictures of Point Man and Paxton Fettle, you can tell they're the products of incest, because they have that very Cro-Magnon, we call like very caveman-esque facial features.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the type of facial features you see from like heavily inbred royal families. And keep in mind, Alma, throughout most of her childhood, she has probably one of the worst childhoods in this entire series compared to like her sons, because she's not even aware of what's happening. Around the time Alma is like, I think, she just became an adult, he takes her off life support and kills her. Because of her psychic abilities, she becomes a revenant, a psychically infused revenant, and starts wrecking shit at this facility. Now, years later, Point Man is assigned a mission to take down his brother. Now, he doesn't know that this is his brother, Paxton Fettle. Paxton is drawn to the facility where his mother was being held, because Alma, I don't know how she did, but Alma essentially Paxton has similar abilities to Alma. That's confirmed. He has psychic abilities. Point Man has a little bit, but they're heavily underdeveloped for what I can remember. So Alma essentially called her son, like she reached out psychically to her son to like come, basically wanting to come see her son. Now, throughout the what?
I think the manifestation of Point Man's like psychic abilities was like his bullet time ability.
It was.
Yeah, his bullet time ability is his a manifestation of a psychic ability. I just thought the bullet time was just like a random like gameplay mechanic for like to look cool, essentially. Mm-hmm. So throughout the entire Fear game, the first game, Alma appears to you as a 10-year-old kid. There are points in the game where she does like change her appearance from like a child to like an adult, but is a young adult. It gets exceptionally creepy in the second game, and the second game is what like made me realize how messed up this series can get. Because the second game was what drew my attention to this series. I forgot the name of the character you play as. Do you guys remember the name of the character you play as in the second game?
Oh, God, he
Beckett,
was.
Sergeant Beckett. It was
Yeah,
Beckett,
Sergeant
right?
Beckett. Yep.
Yeah.
Sergeant Beckett.
So you play Sergeant Beckett, who member of the Special Forces, infiltrates a facility. I don't remember the plot of the second game. Do you guys remember the plot of the second game?
The plot of the second game, it takes place like literally parallel to the ending of the first, where you are trying to get one of the heads of Armacam to arrest them. And then the ending happens and everything just goes wrong.
Yes, so I wanted to talk about the ending. Throughout the entire game, Alma is drawn to Beckett. You end up learning later on that she has a crush on him. Because there's a scene where she basically slams him against the wall, appearing in her hag form, in her like very emaciated hag form, before shifting to a much more voluptuous, beautiful woman form.
Like,
now the thing
this
about
is what you like.
Yeah, now the thing is, Alma is mentally a child, because keep in mind, even though she reached adulthood, she was still in a coma. She went into a coma when she was 10 years old. Hence why throughout most of the games, and even on the cover of the first game, he appears like a 10-year-old in a red dress, because that's the last time Alma was. That's the last time she had a sense of self. Like, she was aware of what she looked like and what she was as a person. So throughout the game, Alma's trying to reach out to Beckett, and you don't know why she's trying to reach out to him. Here comes the ending. Now Beckett is told that he has to be used as bait in order to draw Alma out, so they can the scientists can destroy her. Alma, he straps himself to a machine, and as the machine is going on, Alma appears naked. Keep in mind, throughout the game, Alma's naked, but they don't obviously show her genitals and stuff like that. Alma then mounts Beckett, and Beckett, during this time, the boss fight is being initiated. Beckett is in this like psychic arena, trying to battle off these creatures, and then big bad of the game. All the while, Alma is essentially raping him.
Not essentially, she just is.
Yeah, she's essentially raping him. He is just raping this man, and as this man is like, he is literally in like a psychic coma, having a battle somewhere else, and she's just taking advantage of him then and there. At the end of the game, you see, we don't know how long it's been. Everything is destroyed. It's just Alma there. But get this, she is 9 months pregnant. And she takes Beckett's hand and she places it on her stomach. And you hear like a child's voice saying, "Daddy."
Ugh.
And I remember a 17-year-old self, I'm like, what the fuck? That was just a mind fuck of an ending for me at the time. Because I had never seen a video game have an ending like that.
Just the balls on it too, right? Ugh.
To have your main character not only be raped during a boss fight, but impregnate this psychic ghost being, which I don't know how the hell that happens, but it just happens. The entirety of the third game centers around Alma's sons, Pointman and Paxton Fiddle, trying to track down Beckett, as well as trying to track down Alma, because Alma's pregnant, she's about to give birth, but her unstable psychic abilities is causing literal hell on Earth. And if the child is, they don't know if the child that's going to come for her, not come for her, the child that's going to come out of her is going to be human or not. Or if the child is going to literally cause the end of the world. Because you don't know what the hell she's pregnant with. Because there's no way that she can become pregnant that quickly. So
Ugh.
it's basically the third game is essentially a race against time.
Mm-hmm.
Beckett unfortunately dies after being possessed and killed by Paxton Fettel, which kind of did upset me because I kind of like Beckett's character. I wanted to see how he was going to deal with the whole being raped by Alma and the potential child, or the child that he has with her, ending the world. That would have been interesting to me for if they had not killed them off.
Inferior 3, I believe that was released when studios were really starting to focus on online experiences at the time.
Yeah,
Because
the way they told the story of Fear 3 was just bad, in my opinion.
the
The
same
series,
problem happened with Dead Space 3, if I remember right. Ugh, God, I wish we
yeah,
could have a trequel. You know,
I
respect
hope
all the
they
others.
the Fear franchise. The Fear 3 ends with one or two endings. The ending is with Point Man killing his brother. There's two endings, one with Point Man, one with Paxton Fiddle. The ending with Point Man has him kill his brother, but help deliver his younger sibling, Alma's baby, and it's implied that he ends up raising Alma's baby as she basically, I think, dies or fades away. The second ending, which is the fucked up one, has Paxton Fiddle basically consume the child that's inside Alma so he can increase his own powers. And you just hear Alma screaming in pain as her son is literally feasting on her unborn child. Like, the motherfucker doesn't even like use a napkin or like a fork and napkin. He just goes in hog wild, just eating the entirety of her womb.
Ugh.
But I think what makes it like creepy for me is that Alma is essentially a child masquerading as a woman because she has no idea what she's doing, especially when it comes to like Beckett. She's just mimicking what a child thinks sexy is.
God, not to mention all the fact that what the corporation was focusing on was making a bunch of clones that were all easy to possess and easy to point this way, that, and the other, and it ends up being like used against them. Like the fucking
Yeah,
replicas. Ugh, terrible. To be fair, that was also like one of the last times I can think of where an AI in a game was actually like intelligent, you know?
Oh yeah.
Where they would actually try and like flank you and trying to like use actual tactics to making the bullet time like completely necessary to deal with them, because it's they the way they get all spooked up by you activating it is it's completely unexpected, supernatural, absurd. It's just God. And wasn't it in the first game where you managed to shut them off, and then you just see all these replicants just standing?
Yeah.
yeah, that's creepy.
Like toys without batteries.
Toys without batteries. Ugh.
And there was also another scene where Alma, when you're going down a ladder, and Alma just out of nowhere appears to you.
Yes.
And a lot of people who play the game literally just end up dropping to the ground when that happened. Like, Alma, most of the game, she's not really like doing anything antagonistic towards like Point Man. She's just observing him, which makes sense when you realize that Point Man is her son.
Yep.
She just wants to spend time with her kids.
That are
One's
rape army rangers.
Oh,
That
gosh.
too, but well, to play devil's advocate, she literally didn't know what she was doing.
Just following her fucking terrible instincts.
Yeah, well, her father
Traumatized.
didn't. Her father didn't really teach her much about sex or relationships in general.
Ugh.
Regardless.
Well, he kind of did.
Yeah. in the worst way. And then for my pick, what I wanted to talk about is a bit of Berserk. I want to say this right now. I think the one thing that annoys me the most about Berserk fans, no offense, but saying that the Hawk of the Millennium Empire arc was the beginning of Berserk getting softer makes me think that drugs must be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they just get you to forget things like that. Because Hawk of the Millennium Empire has two sides to it. It has the Griffith story and it has the Guts story. So, with Guts' party, we focus on them meeting Sherka and her teacher. And all the stuff that goes on with them. But the conflict that they find themselves embroiled in is with a small village that is having troll problems. Now, trolls in Berserk are a little different. They are not big, like what I would call really big creatures. They're maybe about 4 feet big. They're kind of like monkeys on bath salts, like chimpanzees on bath salts, specifically. And they are ugly as sin. Whereas what you might think you would call a troll is actually an ogre in this universe. Ogres are fucking monstrous. They are the size of a house. So, in this particular case, what these trolls are doing is they are consistently raiding villages, eating the livestock, kidnapping women, and raping them.
That checks out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. On top of that, raping the women is how they reproduce.
Jesus Christ, they're following the Goblin Slayer school of reproduction.
It gets worse. The troll babies gestate very quickly, and they tear out of the mother.
Jesus.
Yeah. They are fucking evil. And keep in mind, it's during this arc that they enter Qliphoth. Qliphoth is the part of what is effectively hell in the Berserk universe that is the home of Slann, the member of the God Hand with the wings and the titties. The one that looks like a succubus. So yeah, all of that happens during the Hawk of the Millennium Empire. And to be honest with you, it's just as fucked as a lot of the stuff that was going on in my favorite arc, which is the Conviction arc. Conviction is amazing. It's fantastic. On the Griffith side of things, we deal with Ganishka. Ganishka being Griffith's target. Ganishka is an apostle from a land that is very much based on India. And Ganishka and his forces also rely on demons and things of that nature. But how do they create demons? Well, they have effectively created a living Bahamut out of the skin and blood of demons, a giant vat of it. And how they make more demons is quite simple. They take pregnant women and chuck them in. The baby gets mutated into a demon and then tears itself out of the mother. Natch.
Ugh. What an off-putting life cycles.
Yeah. So again, folks, please tell me how this is lighter. Good.
There's so much rape in this series.
There really is. And then the other one, like the Fantasia arc, I will admit is lighter. Until you get to the part where they've got to put together Casca's mind. Which I will also say, one of the most emotional parts of the book. And I'm glad that Miura got to finish it before he passed away. Because Fantasia... It's not my favorite arc. Again, Conviction is. Fantasia had some of the most emotional moments, I think, of the entire book. Specifically, when Casca regains her brain, because she's been a potato this whole time. When Casca regains her brain, and the first time she hears Guts' name, there's just a full page splash of her with tears in her eyes. And it just hits so fucking hard that you will cry. Like, it will do that to you, because it is, the Berserk is that fucking good. But, the thing about Fantasia is Casca's dreamscape is fucking terrifying. Because it is the dreamscape of a woman that was literally raped into insanity. It's not a very happy place. And it is also terrifying, though there is one part of it that is kind of funny. Dick Millipedes.
Good old Dick Millipedes.
Yeah. That part, not gonna lie, kind of made me laugh. But, again, like, I really hate it when people act like it was just, like, not impactful. Go fuck yourself. Not everything needs to be the Eclipse. But I kind of feel like that's also the thing about Berserk, is that it never really was afraid to be dark fantasy. It wasn't afraid to be so fucked up that you look at it and go, oh my god, what the hell am I getting myself into? Because there's a lot of dark fantasy that, like, says it's dark fantasy and is just absolutely fucking scared to really be what it says it is. And then there's Orc City. Oh god, I'm never letting the world live that down. That was wild. But yeah, Berserk, some of the more messed up lore, and a lot of it comes afterwards. And then Conviction itself, I mean, you've got a fucking demon cult orgies where they're eating babies. They at the beginning of a day, they just find the skin of a priest mounted on a fucking tree, and they don't know where the rest of him is. Then there's Rape Horse.
Good old Rape Horse. Everyone loves Rape Horse. What does he do? You guessed it.
Yep, does exactly what it says on the tin.
Micah, I would love for you to play Fear and Hunger. You would like that game.
I plan on it at some point. One thing that is just wrong and yet funny on so many levels is that for the Berserk Musu game, there was Rape Horse DLC.
Oh god.
And the promo image is fucking wrong, because it's being ridden by Shirka, who's like a 13-year-old girl. It's like,
yeah.
what the hell?
Why the hell is she riding Rape Horse?
God.
Oh no, I just remember seeing that and being like, what the fuck?
This series, man.
Yeah, it's like somebody, because this was it was published by Koei Tecmo, if I remember right. They're the ones who do all the Musu stuff. If if I'm remembering correctly, um, that's who publishes it. I just saw that. I'm like, somebody at Koei Tecmo has a really dark sense of humor. Oh man. But yeah, there's that. There's Wild at the end, or Wylad, depending on how you pronounce his name. At the end of the Golden Age arc, like that, he's really fucked up. Because he's kind of like the introduction to the apostles and just how vile they are. Like, just to, again, folks, like the least vile apostle is fucking Zod the Immortal, and he's a fucking like evil Conan the Barbarian that turns into a giant demon Catman with horse hooves.
And that's the least fucked up one.
Yeah.
Like his whole gimmick is that he's like this immortal motherfucker that just can't be killed. That's the name. But every time you see him being talked about, he's just surrounded by carcasses. Just surrounded by them.
Oh yeah.
Men, women, everything. Just murders. Just that's all he knows is murder. And everyone hires him to like fight in their wars. Because he thinks it's fun.
Pretty much. So yeah. I don't know why, folks, that I wanted to discuss creepy stuff. I was just kind of in the mood for it, I guess. Largely because I do have an announcement. Now, obviously, this coming week, we'll be seeing the launch of Black Rhapsody.
Yay! On Friday over at Bancroft's channel.
Yep.
Yeah.
On top of that, the other thing that we've got going on is I'm in the process of putting more stuff onto available for sale, including my recently completed novella, which is called Everything Went Black. And then on top of that, digital versions of Inglewood Book 1 and 3 Nights, 4 Days over on Kindle. And I spent a lot of time making sure that like the Kindle edition reads in a very specific kind of like emotionally impactful way. So I'm pretty stoked for when those are actually going to get released. I still have to work some things out with Amazon to make sure they get released. But you know, it's going to take a little bit more work, but we're going to get there. You know, we're going to get there. We are doing everything that we can to make sure that we can get you guys great stories as often as humanly possible. So, on that note, be on the lookout for all of that. So until next time, because we're going to go ahead and take off, we appreciate all of you for taking the time to listen to us. Don't forget to rate the podcast. Hit the like button on the YouTube channel if you're over there. We appreciate all of you. So until next time, for Mike, for Serena, my name is Micah Curtis, the President and CEO of Grindstone Arts. Have yourselves a great rest of your week.
Bye.
Frick.